All right, everyone, let's take a look at how you're going to do the audio project. But first, we're going to set you up for that by looking at the multi-track session and Adobe Audition. You pretty much set it up the same way where you get into the editing suites or you're using your own cloud version, doesn't matter, but just reminders that the News 17 JWR is the password for getting into those computers. You then once again set up a file folder with the name of the project, or use your original folder that you put in there and then just add a folder in that. And you do that, of course, by going to new folder, etc. So now we're going to go into Adobe Audition. We click on the icon, bring it up, but this time we're going to create a multi-track session. And sometimes it'll go into waveform, so I wanted to show that. If for some reason it puts in the waveform setting, click on multi-track and then set up your session that way. But either way, you want it to look like this. So again, clicking on that will create this or give you the options of what to put in there. And we'll go over that as well. So you're looking at about 4 tracks that should come up when you get to the right spot. And then you're going to import your audio files that you created. So if you're actually recording your files first, you use that other tutorial that I put together on just your basic waveform. And then you're going to import files into the multi-track session to layer in those 4 tracks or more, or mix them up the way you want to. So this will show you that importing a file, you can use music or your original audio file. Just make sure you know the names of the files and where they're located to import it into the project. If a file goes into it and this warning comes up, usually Adobe Audition will convert it to the right form so that they'll all go together, including a waveform. So if you have trouble with it, that file might be special enough that you cannot conform it or transfer it in for that reason. Once it's all gone in and you've got them listed here in the project area, you can click and drag them into whatever wave file, multi-track you want to use. So click and drag, drop them in. You'll have a meter for each so you can look at it. So the basic look of this file is the waveform that you used and the volume control right there with the yellow line. So those are the most important ones. Once you have that pretty well looking or sounding the way you want it, you can add another track and then make those layers flow all together to create that special audio you're trying to do in your project. You can take your mouse and simply click on that yellow line as many times as you want to, and a dot will appear on it. Then you can pull it down, push it up, move it any way you want to create it. So this is your basic fade up. And it's also referred to as a fade in. So it'll start silent and then you bring it up. It's good to have just a little bit of silence at the beginning of your project and then build it up. So if this was music, it would be perfect flow into the segment to make that music take over and dominate. Now you can make it reduce when you want to. You grab another dot, you pull it down, it reduces that audio level. So you can make it very soft or go out completely by doing this. As you work with your sessions, you'll be able to cut things out, move things around, insert them in the same track or other tracks. So this is your whole picture of what you want to create. Each track that you put in should mix well with the other track so it all flows perfectly and makes the point you want to make. So by deleting this, we can cut it, and you'll have the same tools that you've seen before. You can cut the track or just make that mouse designated area and then hit delete and it goes away. So that would be empty. And then that's gone, but you can still, it's non-linear, so you can grab each side and bring it back or put something in there for a new sound. But when you have so many tracks to choose, you might as well use each layer to make it sound the way you want it to sound at the moment you want it to come up. So when you get all the tracks mixed in here, you're going to be ready to export it. Now this time you just don't save it like the waveform file. You export through a multi-track session, and you want the entire session. So just imagine all these layers are now here, and you want them to all mix together whatever you're seeing. Once you collect that entire session, you're going to get some options just like the other ones. File name, location, you can browse for the location. All the numbers that we used in waveform will come up. Again, so you make it in the right format, which should be MP3. Don't make a wave, don't make a Mac, AIFF or anything, make an MP3 so anyone could hear it. And when you get done, you click OK. Then it'll export very quickly because audio takes up less space, and it should be complete. So be sure and watch for the results and listen to them and make sure it came out the way you intended it. It's just like anything else. You put a session in there, you mess with it a bit, you forget to save something, you think you saved it, it doesn't come out right. So really double check those things. So that's the multi-track process, not too hard, but something that you might have to get used to a little bit. And now you're going to work on your audio project. So you're looking to make 3 different audio tracks, or at least use 3 different sources of audio. You want a voiceover. It can be your voice or anyone's voice. Be sure and write up this so I know what your intentions were. You need a second audio source. So remember, we recorded those sound effects or ambient sounds, and you can use music. So I'm looking for you to use about 3 tracks minimum in this audio project. So the multi-track is very important, and I'll hear if you used it. So don't try to put them back to back, mix them together in those many tracks and make it sound good. You can use sound effects, so a door closing, whatever, but that's why you should include a script or something that I can follow so I know what you did when. And your length of it may vary depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So all of this is very important to start planning your project first before you go out and do it. So now you should look for a minimum of 30 seconds. You can get a lot in 30 seconds and use quite a few tracks if you want to. If you do that, if you're making a commercial, just be sure you can fade out at 29, and then it's fine. If you're doing something longer, like a montage of sounds that have a point, you can go longer. But do try to stay under 2 minutes. It gets a little too long, a little too taxing. And this is worth 50 points, so you'll see the directions on D2L. And the goal is to get it done by the deadline. So revisit that deadline date and keep working on it. You can use any audio source you want, from a phone, from your DSLR camera, or a camcorder. Just got to check it out properly. So since we are in this situation, I hope that you'll feel free to contact me and say you're trying to do this, are you doing it right, whatever. But the whole idea is make this work for you and learn how to use those different tracks and manipulate the sounds to go together, raising some up to be louder at times, softer at other times. And good luck.